This morning, I want to talk about something that I've been talking about for a while, living a significant life. And what does that look like? I just want to stop, if I can, for a moment. Around the city, there are hundreds of men and women, pastors, spiritual leaders, who are doing what we're doing, leading churches and facilitating spaces for people's spiritual growth and discipleship. And churches all around our nation are hearing Jesus preached. It's a wonderful thing when you think about it, isn't it? Different shapes and styles and sounds and vibes and everything, but at the heart of it, Jesus is being preached. And I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of that group of people, not only here in this nation, but around the world, that can spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what we do. And that's what we're here for, is to tell people about the love of God. That's why you're here, because God changed you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We'd be surfing or something else, scuba diving. But we're here because we want to worship and want to enjoy God's presence. So if you, I don't know if you want to flip to this, Ecclesiastes. I'll just read. I'm reading from the Message. All right. It's just 3 verses or 2 verses. It's from the Message version. I'm reading from chapter 12, verses 6 to 8. It says, "Life, lovely while it lasts, is soon over." That does get depressing. I just want you to hold on, okay? "Life as we know it, precious and beautiful, it ends. The body is put back into the same ground it came from. Spirit returns to God who first breathed it. It's all smoke. Nothing but smoke." And the writer of Ecclesiastes says, everything is smoke. And basically what he's saying is everything is meaningless. And I just want to tell you, I feel so depressed reading something like that. But then God had a plan. And this is what I love about God. The reality, the authenticity of God is He tells it as it is. And the people who He uses to spread His message tell it as it is. And then God sends His Son, Jesus Christ, in the midst of this. And the truth is, for many people, this is their reality. This is the reality for so many people. Life is just smoke. We get up, we go to work, we come home, we eat, we brush our teeth, we go to bed, we wake up. It's just that. And then there's so many things in life that people are involved in. And it's just at the end, it's just smoke. What is this for? You have a bad week? What is this for? You have a good day? That's okay. It's not going to last. That's how so many people feel. Then God sent His Son, Jesus Christ, so that we could have real life, so that we could have an abundant life, so that we could have a meaningful life, so that we could have a significant life. You know what Jesus does? Jesus saves us. He saves us from ourselves. He saves us from a meaningless existence. That's what He does. And I know that's the testimony of nearly everybody sitting in this space. He saves us from our sin and our sinfulness. He saves us. And then He forgives us. And He forgives us because our lives were an offense to Him. And yet He doesn't hold it against us. It's washed on the cross. And now we're restored back to the Father. And that Father who loves us so deeply, He gives us a new chance. He gives us an opportunity to write something different in our lives. That it's meaningful. That it's a significant life. That we have a fruitful life. We have a meaning for existing. And the Father gives us our new and our true identity. We call ourselves sons and daughters of God. You know, that's what the Father does. He loves us. You heard what Matt said. He runs towards us. Some of us are waiting and waiting and waiting. I'll tell you this, the Father will find you. And He will run to you. And you feel exhausted and worn out and incapable and imperfect and some might even feel untouchable. The Father will find us because He loves us so much. And He changes us. I love this about God. He changes us. He changes us through the power of His presence, through the power of His Spirit. He makes us brand new people. I mean, think about it. We're all a bunch of scabangas. Every single one of us. And then God sends Jesus and He breathes life into us again. And we become people of His presence. The Spirit of God dwells in us. We become the temple of God. And we are changed by His presence, the one who lives in us. And He makes us new. Everything about us is new. And new people destined for significance. Every one of us. And I love that about God. And we can read the news and we can read Ecclesiastes, and you should read all the stuff that's around, but there's much better news than the stuff that you read in the news. Or we don't read it anymore, we watch on the news. It's the gospel of Jesus Christ. And He has come for a good life. If we scratch away everything, and I'm going to ask you to do that this morning. If we scratch away everything that we believe in, everything that we have, everything we've thought about life, what bedrock do you come down to this morning? What is at the very bottom of that rock? You heard what Jesus said. He said, a wise man builds his house upon the rock. What is that rock? What is that stuff that we build our lives on? When I think about Jesus, and I think about the church, and I think about Jesus' followers, and I think of us not only individually, but I think of us as a collective, as a group, as a family. What is that stuff that keeps us together? What makes us who we are? What makes us different? And what enables us to keep on keeping on? What is that stuff? So I scratch down to the bedrock, and I think I see three key values that center at the very center of a significant life. Three key values. What are those things? For me, one of them is authenticity. Authenticity. I believe that, well, let me tell you what authenticity means. It means the quality of being genuine and real. The quality of being genuine and real. Ask yourself this question: how authentic am I? How authentic, now because we're never on our own, how authentic are we? Husband and wife, family, church community. How authentic are we? Are we genuine? Are we real? I believe that authenticity is a key to living a significant life. To be a real deal Jesus follower. Am I a real deal Jesus follower? Let me just say this differently. People come to Jesus and they think there's a life you have to live. There is a life you have to live. It's called the way of Jesus. We follow Him. We live out our lives according to the life that He empowers us to live. But there's so many things that block that. And I don't know what it is. I think when people are born, they're born with this little religious thing hooks on people from the very day they're born. And we start thinking weird about Jesus. We start thinking we've got to do this and we've got to do that. We've got to jump through hoops. We've got to behave in certain ways. We've got to perform certain things, etc., etc., etc. And churches are filled with people who are exhausted from just trying to be a Jesus follower, because there's so much stuff going on. It's like spiritual anxiety. So what is real spirituality? What does it mean to be a real deal Jesus follower? Well, the opposite to authentic is a 4-letter word: fake. Did you know that? Weird, eh? Like straight down. With authenticity, fake. The opposite. Counterfeit. When you take a leopard and you put it on the counter, 200 rand note, leopard. What does that person do? They don't even look at you. They look at you like disdain. They pick that thing up and they do this. Have you noticed? Don't you feel offended? Hey? Or nervous because you know it's counterfeit? Jesus has a lot to say about fake people. He had a lot to say about them in the Gospels. Plenty. Pious, prideful, prejudiced, power-hungry, pretentious, pretending. He had a lot to say. Listen to what he said. This people honors me with their lips, he says, but their heart is far from me. He goes on and he says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. Fake, because fake means hypocrite. Hypocrite means fake. He was full on. You scabs and parasites, he says. You fakers. You are clean. You clean the outside of the cup or the dish, but they are filled with robbery and self-indulgence. Clean the inside of the cup or the dish so that the outside of it can be clean also. I mean, imagine being called, you straight to your face, you fake. For you are like whitewashed tombs, which on the outside appear beautiful, but inside they're full of dead men's bones and all uncleanliness. Outwardly you appear as righteous men, but inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. You're fake. I think when I read Jesus, I think he doesn't like fake. There's not a lot of genuine stuff around. You know? You go and buy leather shoes and they're called pleather. What is that? You go and buy a pleather bag. Everything's fake. Do you remember when you go into a place and there's that, it's a real leather product, and you pick it up, what are the first thing you do? Smell it, am I right? Hey? Isn't it weird? Wow, it's real. And there's something about it. Now, I've watched people do this. I like watching people pick up something that's real. Something happens to their countenance. There's something changes within. They pick it up, and then they smile. And then they feel it a bit. And then if it's like that real leather, you know what you do? I know you're not supposed to do this. They rub it a bit on them. It's awkward, eh? There's something about real. There's something about it. I've never seen anybody walk into China Mall say no more. I have seen people walk into China Mall, but I've never seen many walking out with that, like, I found something that is not fake look on their face. Being real is about how and why we live our lives when no one is watching. Are you with me? That's the real deal. Being real, being authentic, having an authentic spirituality, someone said this, is learning to live in the audience of one. When no one is watching. When no one is watching, only God. It's awkward. It's hard that. Think about it, because our lives are bombarded with so much. But the Bible is filled with encouragement to live an authentic life. To live it like Jesus said. Don't live it from the outside in. Live it from the inside out. It's it's our responsibility. There's something precious about knowing someone who is real. No pretense. They're not proud. They're not going to bull dust you. They're the real you. And you know, I think, true story, Jesus wants us to be real. Listen to what Romans 12:9 says. Let love be genuine. Hate what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. You see, if we're allowing God to change our hearts, genuinely letting Him do that, and we believe He has changed our hearts and is going to continue to change our hearts, it's all day, it's every day. It doesn't just happen wham bam and it's over. It's continual, because sometimes we go back to the old ugly self. We put on our old stuff because that's comforting for whatever strange reasons we do that for. But if He's changing our hearts, He changes our hearts because of His love. He fills us with His presence. He deposits His love in us. Our hearts are changed not because of some religious surgery that takes place. Our hearts are changed because of the love of God. If our hearts are changed and are changing, then Paul says this: let love be genuine. Be real. Hate what is evil. Hate it. Don't be seduced by it. Hate it. Hold on to what is good. He goes on to the Philippians. He writes to young Timothy. He says this. He writes this letter to Timothy. At the beginning of Timothy 1 Timothy 1, he says this: the goal of our instruction, this is the goal of our instruction, love from a pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith. Be real, Timothy. If we're going to teach you about the gospel of Jesus Christ, if you're going to have an encounter with Jesus Christ, Timothy, here's the deal. Be real. Don't fake it. Love from a pure heart. Have a good conscience. A sincere faith. He writes to the Philippian church. He says this, to Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 says, do nothing from selfish ambition and conceit. Don't be a fake. Jesus had a lot to say about that. Don't do that. Don't do anything from selfish ambition. But I want to do this, don't do that. Our lives have been laid down at a cross, and we choose the attitude of Jesus, a servant heart. Do nothing from selfish ambition. Yeah, but I won't get far in life. You will, but you'll crash and burn. It's not a significant life. Live a significant life. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility, count others more significant than yourself. Isn't that interesting? The life of a Jesus follower is not about us. The life of a Jesus follower is about others. A life of success is about us. You want to be successful. I want to be successful. Then I'm going to do everything I can to be successful. But if I want to live a significant life, it's about others. It's away from me. James writes these words in James 1:26. He says, if anyone thinks he is religious, I'm going to change this. If anyone thinks he's a real deal, she's a real deal Jesus follower, and does not bridle their tongue, deceives their heart. Be the real deal. Hold your tongue. That person's religion is worthless. The University of Berkeley, they have an online education system called ExecEd, and they write articles about certain aspects of life. And one of the articles they wrote was an article on authenticity. It's a fantastic article. And they do it from a sort of a secular perspective, but I just love what they said. They said there are benefits of authenticity. One, increased dedication. If you are going to choose to be a real deal human being who is changed because of the love and the power of Jesus Christ, there would be an increasing dedication in your heart to the things of God. I'm just taking what they're doing and I'm putting it into our slot. There are richer relationships, they say, when people are authentic. It increases self-confidence. Not arrogance, not self-pride, a sense of, I know who I am. I know who I am. Who are we? I am a son of the living God. That's who I'm a child of God. The fourth thing they say is greater leadership influence. As a result of being authentic, greater leadership influence. The fifth one is better mental health. Don't be anxious for anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God. Before that, it says, rejoice in the Lord And again, I say rejoice. That's how that starts. You know, Christians, we've been ahead of the game for thousands of years. And universities are only putting together stuff now in the last couple of maybe 100 years that are trying to inform people about life. And Jesus has always said, if you change the way you think to the patterns of my will, your mind will be fine. If you think on the things that are good and beautiful and pure instead of the things that are negative and bad and disastrous and impure, if you think on the things that are good and excellent, your anxiety levels will lower. And the last one they said, I love this part, authentic people instill a sense of trust. You know, this, when I think about authentic, I've been thinking about this for ages. And I thought, Lord, who in the book is the most authentic character? Who's the most authentic human that you had your hand on through history? The history of God's people. And I'd like to say someone like Samuel, or, one of the fine prophets, or one of the higher disciples like John. But when I think of authentic, you know who I think of? David. King David. And when I think of King David, I think of an imperfect human. But he was anointed by God to save the people of Israel and to lead them into a promise. I think of a man who is brave, a shepherd, a muso. You know that he was a muso? He was an incredible warrior, soldier, amazing general. He committed adultery. He had like 8 wives. He planned the murder of Uriah. He sinned. He sinned badly. I don't think there are many people in the Bible who sinned as badly as he did. But there's something about David that was real. He knew when he sinned, and he repented. He was a man after God's heart. He kept it real. It didn't matter. He knew this. He lived large, but he loved God. I know a lot of people like David. Lots of mistakes, lots of flaws, but they love God. I don't think there's anything more appealing than real people. So I asked this question, how do we know an authentic Jesus follower from a fake? I'm going to ask a harder question. I ask this of me. Can I spot it in me? I'm going to give you some answers. Answer 1. How do I know an authentic Jesus follower from a fake? Is it in me? Honesty. Honesty. Firstly, am I honest with myself? Secondly, am I honest to God? Am I a David? Oh Lord, I have failed you. I turn away from that. Don't turn your face away from me. Am I honest with people? Am I honest or am I faking it? Am I the same with myself, with God, and with others? Honest. And honesty is different to perfection. You know, a lot of people are doing it right. There are a lot of us, it's like everybody thinks we are okay and we're dying. It shocks me to hear when great people fall. Doesn't it shock you? When great people fail and you go, wow, how did that happen? It looks so good on the outside. And Jesus said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You keep the outside clean, but inside is dead bones. Can I spot it in me? Honesty means I'm going to allow myself to fail. I'm going to change that. I will fail. And I will fall. And I will make mistakes. We do mistakes. And that's okay. Because when we fall down and we fail forward, a real person takes responsibility and gets back up again. Honesty asks this question: what am I protecting and what am I projecting? Here's the second answer to this question. How do I know an authentic Jesus follower from a fake? Can I spot it in me? Commitment. Commitment. Commitment of time, energy, and money to the things that matter most. Now you see, if you're honest, you'll know what those things are. What are the things that matter most? What are those things? The things that matter most in the eyes of God are the matters of the heart. Those are the things that matter most. What are those things? Are we committed to those things? Am I committed to my Lord Jesus Christ? Am I devoted to Him? Is it pure devotion? Done. Even if I fail and make a mistake, I am yours, Lord. You got me as I am. I come as I am, but I'm not going to leave as I am. I'm going to change because you're going to change me. But I'm committed to you. Am I committed to the things of the heart, the things that matter to the Lord in my life? You know what matters to the Lord in my life is not only my devotion to Him, but my devotion to Leanne, to our wives, to our spouse, to our children. Those are the things that matter. Am I committed to that? Time, energy, and money. Am I committed to the things that matter most, the things of the heart? Am I committed? And I'm going to say this about commitment. All in matters. When Jesus looks for all in, He sees a real person. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in for the things that matter. And Lord, you matter. Jesus, you matter to me. If we didn't have this space and we didn't have this building and there was no one else around, and we didn't even have a Bible, would it really matter if we knew Jesus? Because He's got us and we've got Him. I'm in. Third answer is consistency. Honesty, commitment, consistency. How do I know an authentic Jesus follower from a fake? Can I spot it in me? Am I consistent? Consistency. Am I the same person? Are we the same people anywhere and everywhere, regardless of the circumstances and the situations and the pressure? Regardless. Another little bit of info from University of Berkeley. They say this about authenticity. Authenticity comes from knowing what's important to you and remaining true to these values in the face of external pressures and expectations to think and behave a certain way. Consistency. Wherever you go, when people meet you, and they meet you in a mall, they meet you at a till, they meet you at a petrol pump, they meet you at the side of a sports field, they meet you in a church, they meet you in your bedroom, they meet you at your dining room table. Are you the same person? Consistency. Don't fake it. That's what Jesus is saying. The next one is courage. Courage. And you know what courage is for me? Courage is a process of small steps, of taking holding tightly the things that are essential for us and holding lightly the things that are peripheral. Courage. Courage to take hold of the things that are non-negotiable. Courage. Courage. In the storm. Courage. We put on our brave. That's how we know we're not a fake, is that we're courageous. We're prepared to get out of the boat and know we will sink, but we'll at least have a bash. How many of you have tried to walk across a swimming pool? At least you try. And last one, centered. 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 You know what centered means for me? Stay in the light. Just let the light shine on you. Stay there. If you feel the light's moving, follow the light. Wherever Jesus goes, go with Jesus. Stay in the light. Live in the light. Walk in the light. Stay in the light. Back to your leather bag. There are some countries in the world where they have genuine leather products. Not so much in the East, but a lot of European countries have some really amazing leather products. And you walk in and you can just smell it. You know, you can just smell it. Yes, there's something about it. It like eases your soul. You feel like, I love this place. The problem is we can't afford any of it. So flippin' expensive. But there's just something beautiful about it. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was a postman. And do you remember his big post bag? Postmen in those days, when there was a postal system. Hold on, let me change that. Rejoice in the Lord always. And again I say rejoice. Let your forbearing spirit be made known to all men. Stop being anxious that there's no postal service in this country. Think on things that are good and pure. Anyway, he had this beautiful, it was like a light orangey brown leather bag. And it was dubbined and it was weathered and all that sort of stuff. But it was amazing. And I remember it when I was a tiny little oak. But I was very young. Very, very young. But I remember that. And many years later, Leanne and I did a tour through the Midlands. And we stopped at this place that were making leather goods. And as I walked in, I could smell it, and it reminded me of my grandfather's leather bag. You know, your memories bump. So I bought my own little mini postbox bag. And I've had it for nearly 30, 40 years. And it's weathered, and it's cracked and falling apart, and I get it fixed, and the other thing falls apart. But you know, I can still stick my head in it, and it smells genuine. And it doesn't matter if it's cracked. And it doesn't matter if it falls apart. It's still the real deal. It's like your life. If it's real, if you're a real deal Jesus follower, it doesn't matter because your heart's after God. That's what God wants for you. To live a significant life. To be authentic. The world desperately needs real. You don't have to fake anything with God. David didn't. Peter didn't. People who rarely know God don't have to fake anything. They know themselves, but they know their God. He's greater. None of us haven't sinned. We all sin. We all make terrible mistakes. We do stupid things. We say even worse things. We do that. But you know, if you're real deal, the Father can smell you. He knows you. You're His. He smiles. That's what He does. He smiles because it's something precious to Him. Because genuine leather, genuineness, reality, authenticity creates space for trust. And we need a relationship with God, and it can only be built on trust. We trust Him, and He trusts us. This broken, falling apart leather bag who chooses to live within us. If you want to have a significant life, just be real. Be the real deal. And you'll see amazing things happen in many phases of your life. Amen.